Discussing performance or behavior that isn't meeting your expectations is one of the most difficult aspects of leading people. We're going to give you a process for successfully holding those conversations in this episode. Hello, I'm Randy Pennington. Thanks for joining the conversation. We have a lot to cover, so let's get to it. Imagine that a new neighbor has just moved into the apartment upstairs. She or he seems nice enough, and you hope that it will at least be a cordial relationship, if not a friendship. About 2 weeks after moving in, your neighbor throws a party with lots of people and loud music. Your first thought, of course, is, why wasn't I invited? But that thought goes away when the party shows no signs of slowing or quieting down at midnight. So, what do you do? A surprising number of people wouldn't do anything, at least the first time this came up. Managers and supervisors do that too. They assume that a problem is a one-time occurrence and then let it go. Some of them let it go forever. You could call the police on your neighbor and let them do the dirty work, which is a lot like calling HR in a corporate environment. And then there are those who confront the issue and say something. And of that group, some get mad and just go off on the person, and others look for ways to hold a conversation that gets the result they want while maintaining or even enhancing the relationship. If you want to be a truly effective leader, that should be your goal. Solve the problem to get the result you want while maintaining or even enhancing the relationship. You can do that by using this 3-step model that I've used and taught as part of our positive performance management process for over 30 years. Step 1, define the situation. What you do to prepare for the conversation is critical. And taking the time to clearly define the situation allows you the space to calm down if you're angry or emotional. It also equips you to talk about the situation in a way that's more likely to achieve the result you want. You begin the step by identifying the gap between what you expected or wanted to happen and what actually occurred. Be as specific as possible with your expectations and stick to the facts without embellishing them with emotion when describing what actually happened. Next, look at the impact of the performance or behavior on the organization and also the logical consequences if the individual doesn't solve this problem going forward. You might not need these in the conversation, but you should be prepared just in case. And finally, identify any mitigating or contributing factors you need to consider. Now, these could be things like the length of time doing the job, previous discussions about similar problems, the fact that they were recently trained, or even barriers that might exist. And again, you might not need this information, but going through this exercise helps you put the problem and your discussion in context. Now, as part of the analysis, you should also determine what type of conversation this is going to be. Is it going to be just a feedback or coaching conversation, or is it serious enough that you're taking formal corrective action? Step 2 is to hold the conversation. Remember, the goal is to solve the problem and maintain or enhance the relationship. You can pre-play the conversation in your head to plan the words you want to use. You might also seek guidance from your manager or human resources. And many people find that practicing the conversation is especially useful if you aren't experienced in holding this type of discussion. Our experience is that it's best to get right to the point and avoid small talk. You want to be professional and respectful, but this isn't the time to talk about the weather or what you did over the weekend. Open the conversation in a non-threatening manner. Don't belittle the individual. You want to be clear that you're there to discuss a problem, and you also want to create a space for conversation. Choose words that fit for you, but something like this should work. Emma, there's something I need to discuss with you. Or, Raymond, I have a problem that I need to discuss. Next, describe what you expected or wanted to happen and what actually occurred. Then, and this is really important, ask a question such as, what's going on? Or can you tell me what happened? And then listen. I mean, actively listen. Paraphrase what you hear to make sure that you clearly understand what the other person is saying. So here's an example. Julio, I expected to receive your completed monthly report by last Thursday, but it just came in 5 days late with several pieces of information omitted. What happened? The best case scenario is that the individual takes ownership and admits their mistake. And actually, a lot of your team members will do exactly that. Others will give you a reason or excuse for not meeting expectations. If you hear something legitimate, then discuss potential solutions to ensure that the problem doesn't continue. Be willing to offer ideas, but make this a participative conversation. If you hear something that you know is an excuse for not taking responsibility, say this: I understand. Those things happen, and I'd like your agreement to meet our expectations going forward. Can I count on you? The number one reason leaders never get the agreement and accountability they want is they never specifically ask for it. Most people will say yes if you simply ask for their agreement in a professional, respectful manner. And when that occurs, thank them and then transition the conversation to problem solving. Notice that I said most people would say yes, but not everyone will. And in those situations, describe the good business reasons that you identified before the meeting, and then ask for agreement again. They say yes, thank them and focus the conversation on solving the problem. If they say no, and a few people will, describe the logical consequences of their continued course of action, and explain that you're trying to prevent those from occurring and ask for their agreement. And as always, thank them and transition to a problem-solving discussion anytime you get their agreement to move forward. Our work over the years has shown that only a very small percentage, something like less than 3%, will not agree to solve a problem by this point. And in those situations, you'll have to mandate compliance. But even then, you can approach the individual in a way that solves the problem and seeks to maintain the relationship. The conversation would go something like this: Rachel, I've described a problem that needs to be resolved and the good business reason why that needs to happen. I share the logical consequences of you not taking responsibility for your performance. And as I mentioned, I want to avoid those things, and I know you do too. And for some reason, we don't agree. And now I need to know that you understand what I expect. Every piece of this conversation is built on the philosophy that when you treat people as valued partners, you earn the right to expect them to act that way. And at this point, you've done everything you can to treat the employee as a partner. You've earned the right to expect them to take responsibility and solve a problem. We'll dig deeper on specific questions and techniques in the next episode. But for now, there's a link in the description for the Positive Performance Leadership Value Pack. And in it, you'll find a performance discussion guide worksheet for planning your conversation and step-by-step guidelines for holding various types of conversations. So make sure to download that information. The final step in holding a successful conversation is to close the loop. And in this step, you document the conversation in the manner used by your organization, and then follow up to either reinforce improvement, help the individual fine-tune their performance, or take the next appropriate action if there isn't an improvement. Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Next week, we'll go into more depth and answer specific questions on holding difficult conversations. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to never miss new content just as soon as it's released. Please share this with your friends, give us a like, and comment with your ideas and questions. We'd love to hear them. And remember, the heroes in every marketplace are known by their results. I'll see you next time.